The Hayley O Show. Every Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Only on bulls.co.za.
Now we're going to get Anthony Ackerman on the line. He's the events manager for the Rand Club. Now, the Rand Club is basically an institution in South Africa. It's been around for the gold rush in early Johannesburg. It's been around for the Anglo-Boer War. Cecil John Rhodes was the founder. It's really completely entangled in Johannesburg's history. And I haven't actually been there, but I've heard it's beautiful. I've been on the website and seen pictures. It's been refurbished. And I definitely think it's an outing that people living in Joburg or people visiting Joburg should make. So let's get Anthony on the line, and he can certainly tell you more.
Hello.
Anthony, Hayley Owen here from Bulls Radio. How are you?
Hello, Hayley. Very well, thank you. Nice speaking to you.
Good. Thank you for making yourself available to chat to us this morning. Young people are starting to talk about the Rand Club and starting to discover this little gem in the middle of Joburg, and it's been around for 126 years.
That's right. Yeah, Rand Club was actually the stands that it's built on were bought, I think, in October 1886, and that's the same year that Joburg became a township. And 1 year later, the first clubhouse was built. This is what we have now is the third clubhouse that was built in 1904. So that itself is about 110 years old. So it's very much intertwined with all of Joburg's history.
And tell me, I know it used to be a gentlemen's only club, but when were women allowed?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think from the early 1990s. I was living overseas for quite a while, so I'd never been to the Rand Club until about 2007 or 2006. So I'd always heard about it and about the wonderful staircase and the building and how magnificent it was, and it truly is. But it has been, since the end of apartheid, it has been sort of open to everybody. Well, I say everybody, it is an exclusive club.
Sure.
We do have a dress code. If you want to go in jeans and a bomber jacket, it's better to go to a sports bar somewhere. So the club has, but it's nice dressing up, and I think
that's what I like about it.
Yes, exactly. Because I've got suits, and the only time I wear my suits is when I go to the club, and it's really like getting dressed up to go somewhere special.
Yes, I remember when I was young, we used to go to the Durban Country Club, and that was the time I got to wear the best dresses I had in my cupboard. And I think it's nice, that idea of an old-fashioned, membership club. Anthony?
Well, I mean, the club's function has changed over the years. Obviously, it was a gentleman's club, and it was in Joburg when Joburg.
Oh. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry, Anthony, I've lost you. Let me see if I can get you back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There, you're back. Sorry, you were saying how the role of the club has changed?
Yes, so obviously in the early days it was a gentleman's club, and it was probably a sort of oasis in the city centre, and it was the bastion of where the great capitalist class was, the people who owned the mines. And through Joburg's tempestuous history, it's been under siege by miners during the 1913 and the 1922 strikes, and there were gun battles in the streets and all kinds of dramatic things. So it's drenched in that kind of history. And maybe at times it might have been a slightly more stuffy and staid sort of institution, but it absolutely isn't like that anymore. I've made fantastic friends since I've been a member, and that's for the last six years or so. And increasingly young people are joining, and as you remarked to me earlier, we have on the first and the third Thursday of every month, we have an after hours, which is really, well, for members and their friends, but people who are interested, they should go to our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page for Rand Club, and we advertise all upcoming events, and we do have reports on events that have happened before, and people can always sign up for events or get the contact details there and phone the club and ask if they can come along.
Sure. The reason I got wind of this was because one of my friends on Facebook posted these pictures of him and his friends in these lovely suits and all these girls dressed up to the nines, and they were on this beautiful staircase, and I
Yes.
messaged him. I'm like, where is that? I want to go. And he was telling me then about these after hours drinks twice a month at the Rand Club.
Yes, well, you must go. There are lots of other events as well, and if you like the club, we certainly it doesn't take as long to become a member now as it used to in the heyday. Apparently, in the heyday when it was chock-a-block, it'd take you about 4 years or something. You had to wait for somebody to die before there was a place available for you to become a member. It's a lot less difficult now, although there is a procedure, but you can always just contact the club, contact the general manager, and find out how that goes.
Okay.
But we have lots of other, when we joined the club in about 2006, my wife and I, and she's a member in her own right as well, and likes to be a member because she said in the past women weren't allowed to be. So
Oh, good for her.
Very, very determined to, and often entertains her girlfriends there, because as a member of the club you can have access to many of the rooms in the club, beautiful, well-appointed rooms where you can have meals, private meals, etc., etc. And anyway, at the time, there'd been a fire in 2005, quite a catastrophic fire, which destroyed quite a lot of the club, but it was rebuilt magnificently. I mean, it didn't destroy the infrastructure, but carpets, etc., etc. So it got a real facelift, and it looks terrific. And it's got a lot of, we've got a billiard room downstairs with 3 full-size billiard tables.
Wow.
We've converted the space into a little theater where we put on entertainments. About 2 weekends ago, we had a brand new show called the Bram Fischer Waltz, which was originally written in Afrikaans, and this is the first English production just come up from Grahamstown, based on the Bram Fischer, who was Nelson Mandela's lawyer, who actually, together with George Bizos, saved him from the gallows in the 1960s trial.
Okay.
And so we had a Bram Fischer heritage tour as well, and his 2 daughters came to the show and were part of the tour. So, and then we'll do a big Sunday lunch, a Sunday carvery, which they do.
Oh, that's nice. Is
Yeah,
that every Sunday?
No. You just have to consult the Facebook page to see when we have particular events on. We also have one of our members is a composer, and he's the composer to the Johannesburg Chamber Choir as well as St. George's Church, and he has contact with all the people in the classical music world, and so we quite often have chamber concerts in the club. So you'll have classical music. We always combine it with a meal, so it can either be supper and afterwards in the magnificent main dining room we'll have a classical music concert, or else on a Sunday morning you'll have the concert and afterwards have a big Sunday carvery.
Nice.
And we have a poker club on the first Wednesday of every month. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. There really are quite a lot of clubs within the club, and we've started doing quiz nights as well with the professional quizmaster.
Ian's face just picked up.
That also appeals to younger people as well, because quizzes are the absolute rage at the moment.
No, I love I'm certainly a sucker for any quiz. So basically the event's going on all the time, and you can just the Facebook page to hear all the details.
Facebook page and make contact and find out about it. Yes, and once you've liked it, I think you probably, and if you've got a Twitter account, I think we've got some younger members who run the club's Twitter account, so there's a lot of tweeting about all sorts of things happening at the club.
I love the idea of going to a nice formal, olden day club. I still need to get there.
Yes, it's an absolute treasure. And as I say, that part of, for a long time, people haven't gone back to the city center. People were moving out in the early 90s or the late 80s, early 90s. And there's this perception, particularly if you live in the leafy suburbs in the north, that Joburg's inner city is like Beirut, but it's anything but. It's turning around. It's becoming a place that people want to go to. We've got our real little New York down in Joburg.
Is there safe parking at the Rand Club?
Oh yes.
Okay.
And also, we have our own porters who look after the cars. And at night, parking is easy. Of course, there are no meter maids going around trying to charge you $8 an hour for parking.
Okay.
So the parking is absolutely safe, and it's very, very easy to get into town. You can just, it's safe being in town, and that part of the city centre is fantastic. Going down Main Street, where all the banks live in Johannesburg.
Oh, I've heard it's like a cage.
Yes, it is. It's one of those beautiful old ones. I mean, it's from 1904.
Wow.
And then when I tell people that, they say, okay, so what's the oldest lift? And I didn't know, but I think it's a building that's just around the corner from the club. But we have got a fantastic, spectacularly long bar. And, you know, I mean, it's a real traditional bar, and there aren't many of those left in Joburg, so it's a real treat. And that's where the after-hours function is always held.
Okay.
And there's bar food and all of that sort of thing as well.
Okay. And Ian, you wanted to ask Anthony something?
Anthony, I had a quick question.
Yes.
My grandpa was a member of the Ront Club, as he called it, as grandpas
yes,
do.
yes.
And I recall him telling me that in the library, the second row from the bottom of books was cleared of books and used as a footrest for the old gentleman. Is that the case, and is it still the case?
It is still a tradition that is upheld. If you go into the library, and the library is one of the jewels of the club. We've got about 10,000 books there, and it's not just that it's a fantastic a resource, you know, of Africana and historical books, but we've got a very lively library committee with a smallish budget, but we managed to get all the kind of new up-to-date books. And that is absolutely true. They keep that shelf vacant, and it's for... If you've had a very good lunch with a couple of glasses of port, you can go and put your feet up and have a snooze in the library.
Oh, I love it. It's steeped in tradition, and I think that's great. And I did also hear that you get reciprocity at some great international clubs if you're a member of the Rand Club.
Absolutely, and that is something that is such a perk, you know, because it allows you to, well, that we have accommodation at the club. Not as much as in the old days, but we have a couple of bedrooms available. In the old days, I think there were about 84 bedrooms, and 84 people were sort of staying there on a regular basis.
Okay.
But it would be, you know, in the old days, the clubs were, when, in the absence of good hotels, you had the clubs. But the clubs also provide much less expensive accommodation for reciprocity members. So it lets you into clubs like the Reform Club in London, you know, which is just down the street from
Which
Buckingham
would
Palace.
otherwise be very difficult to get into, yes.
Oh, no way. Forget it, you know. And we've been to Buenos Aires, where we got into the Jockey Club, which was like going into Versailles. And you can only get in there if you're a member and if you've got reciprocity. And we went to a fantastic club in Kuala Lumpur when my wife and I were traveling recently. And at the end of next month, we're going to Amsterdam, and we're going to go and visit the club and have lunch at the club in Amsterdam, which is in an iconic building on the Dam Square. You know, so there really are a lot of perks to being a member of the club as well.
Oh, great. Well, I'm so glad we chatted to you, and I hope it's piqued many people's attention and interest, and that they go to the website or to the Facebook page and find out more info.
Yes, go and like us. Go and like us as well, Hayley, and we hope to see you at the club.
Definitely. I will definitely be there. Thanks so much, Anthony, for chatting to us, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye. Bye,
Cheers.
Ian.
Cheers.
Right, that was Anthony Ackerman, the events manager of the Rand Club. Didn't that make you want to go there?
Yeah, I'd like to have a little port and then rest my feet on the second row of the library shelves.
I love these places that are really just from another era.
The Hayley O Show. Every Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Only on bulls.co.za.